All right, hello and welcome back to a Underdoctor video that we are going to do for video breakdowns. This is the first video that I'm doing for Underdoctor, and this is going to be a reoccurring thing. I hope that we have enough chapters to go through. This is chapter 21, so we'll go ahead and get started. Now, as we get into the intro of this video, this is the first video that I'm going to do, so I'm going to lay down the law here. I have a script that I follow whenever I do some of these videos, and it's going to be very formulaic, so we'll go ahead and get into the categories of them and start out with the intro. So with this one, we'll start out with chapter 21 being titled The Fake Doctor and the Underdoctor. It continues the manga's blend of high-stakes medical drama with action and quick-hit character moments, centering on confrontation involving a phony doctor, likely the fake setup from the end of chapter 20, and our legendary Haiji Kino stepping into the fray. This feels like another vignette-style episode in Haiji's underground doctor life, where his insane diagnostic eyes and combat prowess shine. Alright, moving on to the pacing and structure of the chapter. The pacing is very fast and snappy. The fake doctor con or impersonation plot that takes place only lasts about 6 pages total across 2 chapters before things escalate and get resolved or undercut quickly. The structure is very much a self-contained story or a type of vignette. So quick setup with the fake Haiji's involvement, medical and action beats, and then a wrap up. No heavy marination or drama. It moves on fast, which keeps the energy high but can feel weightless if you're craving deeper arcs, which this one has felt pretty episodic. This seems to be the manga's new direction after positive reception to earlier one-shot like chapters. With this one, all right, we'll move on to the character components that we can draw from this chapter. Haiji Kino, or the Underdoctor. In this chapter, it reinforces his core as the ultimate see-through-anything diagnostic genius who can heal or dismantle with precision. He undercuts drama but shows why he's the legend, blending doctor skills with the underworld strength. Next, we move on to the fake doctor, or Dan, as we're going to call him in this situation, because that's what he wanted to call himself, or was portraying to these villagers. He is introduced or built on as a con artist type in the medical scene. Potential for deeper motives, for these true feelings hinted but quickly undercut. Possibly setting up alliance, rivalry, or redemption. Possibly he could be taking him in just like he did with the kid earlier in the story. Most people wanted more build up on his con and backstory before Haiji shows up, but I don't know how much we're going to rush or what we're going to do here. This is the 21st chapter of the manga, and even though it was recommended by Horikoshi, who knows how long it's actually going to last, even though the last couple that he has actually recommended has gone pretty far and been pretty popular. Next, we'll move on to the supporting cast, or the patients. Typical high-tension medical scenarios where Haiji's intervention highlights contrasts between real skill and fakery. Mentions of relying on actual professionals alongside doctor figures in a broader sense. Overall, characters feel functional for this vignette, just like they do with all of these throughout the story, especially the one with the girl in the vocal cord issue. Strong on Haiji's cool factor, lighter on emotional investment for new faces due to speed. Moving on to the story progression and the lore components of the chapter. Story-wise, this advances the slice of life-ish style collection of Haiji's deeds, almost like a collection of vignettes like we had talked about in the previous section, format rather than a tight overarching plot. I would like to see an overarching plot and how this ties in with a bunch of different things. I thought we were going to get that when he went to Cameroon, but I guess not. We're going to do this flavor of the week, or like a stand of the week type of thing, like what JoJo would have in its earlier days of an arc before it really picks up into a longer format for a story for the remainder of the part. I'm hoping we kind of get that and it picks up over time here, but we have no massive lore bombs, but it deepens the underworld doctor world. Fake versus real practitioners, cons in medical and high stakes settings, and Haiji's reputation pulling him into these situations. I personally, whenever they had seen the fake doctor, I thought we were going to be starting into a very long arc, or at least long for what Underdoctor has been given us, because it has been kind of a slice of life story of the week type thing. But it looks like we won't be getting that very soon unless we're just going to be doing this and everybody seems to like the story vignettes. If it starts to be a situation where most of the stories that they start coming out with end up being a little bit longer and they just keep stretching out that way, I wouldn't be mad. So it highlights themes like the ethics of medicine and dangerous circles, the difference between surface level doctoring and Haiji's god tier abilities, and possibly hints at reoccurring characters joining the crew, which it really hinted at in this chapter for Dan. The manga continues, prioritizing episodic medical and action hooks over a long serialized build-up right now, as we had mentioned earlier. Now for my final thoughts on the chapter. We had a solid but mixed bag. The action and medical creativity are great as always, and Haiji remains a badass protagonist, just like he usually is. However, the super quick resolution of the fake doctor setup and the short vignette style storytelling might leave some wanting more with depth and consequences. It's entertaining and keeps the momentum, especially if you vibe with the short story format, but the lack of overarching plot weight is starting to show for some, if it's going to be has to be for some if it's going to be like for me as well. But it does have good volume sales, suggesting it's hitting with the audience, just like you can see with all of the data that's coming out week to week. But what do you guys think? Are you team vignette or would you like some bigger arcs? I know that I would personally. I don't mind the short vignette style, but the bigger arcs is what I prefer, being a One Piece fan especially. But drop your takes below. I'd like to see the comments whenever you can do that. So in the meantime, I will catch you in the next chapter. All right, see ya.